Our report does not say that, quote, WHO failed. We say the system in which it was forced to operate was designed to fail. And Gordon's touched on some of the key points. WHO does not have the power to demand immediate access where there's a disease outbreak. It should have that power. Cool. It doesn't have the power to publish information from countries without the country's consent. It needs that power. It isn't really empowered to act in a precautionary way where it sees something very worrying. And where you have a respiratory pathogen, as this was, you need to be able to act in a precautionary way, but the international health regulations steer towards the careful accumulation of evidence. The world's moving faster than that. I often say this is not the Middle Ages when a virus traveled on foot or by donkey. It's on the next plane. Then you have the non-transparent decision-making around the emergency committee, which the Director General must convene and ask for advice. They've inexplicably did not agree to declare a public health emergency of international concern when they first met on the 22nd of January. And then when Dr. Tedros did declare the emergency after a second convening of the committee a week later, he said there was no need to take any particular steps on travel. Well, actually there was, but the international health regulations give a strong steer against any, quote, unnecessary curbs on travel. So that there are things that are wrong, that have to be fixed to empower WHO to do the job that it needs to do.
The irony is we've known there's a problem for 200 years because people have been trying to meet to discuss these common problems where you've got infectious diseases, whether it's cholera or anything else. And I think you had the first meeting of an international organization in the 1850s to deal with this, nearly 170 years ago. And of course, one of the aims of the meeting, as you rightly said, was to keep trade moving rather than to stop it. Yeah. Businesses did not want trade impeded, and therefore there was a lot of pressure to do the opposite of what should have been done, which was to say, look, we've got to make sure that this is contained, and that didn't happen, of course. So we've got a lot of lessons to learn. But I do think people do realize now that if you don't cooperate, then people die. And I think that as a result of this, people will agree to far tougher standards being imposed internationally. And the sooner we get to decisions on that, the better, Helen, because your report's got to be implemented. It can't just lie on the shelves with people saying, great report. What you actually want is people to make the changes you've discussed in the flow of information and all the other things that you've proposed.
Yes, Gordon, and the point you make about trade is absolutely right, because it's almost in one breath that the international health regulations say that there should be no undue disruption to either travel or trade. And I think one of the problems in dealing decisively with the pandemic has been where you've had those siren calls, and it's come from elements of business in particular, that says, oh, we can't jeopardize the economy. Look, it's clear beyond doubt that the best economic response to COVID is the best public health response, because the longer your people go on, sick with the hospital system paralyzed and people fearful and there's no confidence, the longer, of course, till you get a result.